Getting started with Angular is really easy. It's as easy as sourcing a JavaScript library onto your page. So let's start with some simple HTML that I have here. This HTML has at the top a head tag. There's nothing in it so far. It's got a body tag with an input field cost that is going to hold a US currency cost, so like say $100. And then down below we want it to format that US currency as $100.00 if the person puts in 100. So I'm going to go over here to Google hosted libraries. I've already opened this up and grab the Angular snippet. I need to add HTTP in here to bring it in. And the first thing I need to do is add ng app. And this tells Angular that there's an application here that it needs to handle. There's no arguments yet. We'll get to that later. And also I'm going to take out the min, because just in general, when you're working in development mode on Angular, you want to have the full error reporting, and that's not provided by the minified library. So good to go so far. So the first thing we want to do is connect the input to a model element in the system. So we're going to call that model element cost. Now we're going to go down here into the template and format cost. Or in this case, really just copy cost into the template. Refresh the browser. Type in 100, yep. And you get now the two-way data binding already. Cool. So dynamic behavior without actually writing any JavaScript code so far at all. Really. Actually, it's hidden. This is JavaScript code, but we'll get there. Next thing to do is we want to format this. So let's format this as currency. Refresh the browser, and yep, now we're using Angular's built-in currency formatting mechanism to format that number, 100, as currency, in this case, 1000.00, even with a comma. Really nice. Okay, so I wanted to contrast and compare these two systems. I want to contrast and compare Angular versus jQuery, because jQuery is something that all of us are pretty familiar with. So let's see how this might be done in jQuery. So first off, let's go over to the jQuery page. I've called this index_JQ. It's over here in Sublime. So first off, we've gone and brought in the jQuery API. Fantastic. Now, one thing we need to do is put an ID on here because we need to access the element. Call it cost. Now we need a place to put it. So we're going to turn this into a span. So that's our formatted cost. Now we need to write our jQuery. All right, that's looking pretty good, but I'm pretty sure I didn't get all the edge cases and do all the error handling. I'm pretty sure I didn't, actually. And we can kind of contrast and compare the two here. First, there's an awful lot of JavaScript going on here, and it's just to reformat something into some American money, right? It's the inner text of a span tag. It's going and doing a lot of math. It's just a lot of work and a lot of granularity of effort. Plus, it's not internationalizable, right? So if the locale is something different than the US, it's not going to go and change the currency formatting depending on that either. So with jQuery, you're really down in the weeds and the minutia of building out your app. And that's not really where you want to be when you're thinking about building larger applications. And let's face it, any application you're going to write is going to be bigger than this one. So let's have a look back at the Angular version. See that we're dealing with a model. It's a simple model for sure. But as an author, you don't have to worry about watching the model change or updating the UI. That just happens for you while you worry about the problem domain of your customer. So even in this small example, it's clear that Angular enables you to concentrate on your problem domain and not on the small details of the client-side implementation. And really, we've only just begun. As you'll see with the addition of controllers, directives, and other powerful Angular features, you'll be able to make astoundingly complex and feature-rich client-side applications without pulling your hair out dealing with all the minutia. We've taken a simple web page and ended up with a rudimentary Angular application. Now you'll be able to do this for yourself. Next, we're going to dive into controllers and then more deeply into some of the more powerful Angular directives.